Joining me now on this episode of Locally Sourced EP is Viva El Paso's music director, and he is also the Epic Arts, Epic Arts artistic director, Mr. Cody Ritchey. Mr. Ritchey, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. Thanks.
Sir, we're talking a long time tradition, something that's been around in El Paso for a while now. I remember going to see it when I was a kid, the one and only Viva El Paso. That's been like a staple here in El Paso for as long as I can remember, right?
Definitely. I'm old enough now that it's been a part of my life for more years than I even want to mention because even though I wasn't involved with the early years, I actually auditioned one of the early years. It started in 1978. I didn't pass the audition. I wasn't a very good stage performer. But I knew of a lot of people in the show, and I've been friends with Hector Serrano, who was the original writer of Viva El Paso, and we've worked together several times throughout the years. So definitely something where you develop relationships and also get to see how people in the city enjoy it every time it changes or becomes a new reiteration of itself.
Oh, that's cool. And just can you talk a little bit about what, like, if you can, what Viva El Paso is? I mean, what is the I guess you say backstory of what Viva El Paso is?
So when Hector first developed it, he decided McKelligan Canyon had just built that new theater in the beautiful setting out there in the mountains, and they want to do a show, and they thought, well, let's do a show about El Paso's history, and it featured dance from the cultures that have influenced El Paso, and he brought in stories about romance and different characters throughout history, whether they're the Native American culture, the Mexican culture, the Spanish culture, the Texan Western cowboy culture. The show has changed a little bit. The basic story is still the same. We tell 400 years of history, and we feature each of the cultures in their own little segment of the show. But the only thing that's changed is, starting in 2015, Viva El Paso went over a massive rewrite. Marty Martin, who's an award-winning playwright, wrote the book for the play based on Hector Serrano's old play. We wrote new music. Jim Ward, the Sparta rock icon of El Paso, wrote some songs. I wrote some songs.
Oh, cool.
And over the last few years, we've developed it, and then the dances are always interchanging. The choreographers bring in new ideas, or they bring in old ideas and redo them. This year, there's some amazing stuff that we haven't seen in a long time in the show, so we're very excited about that.
That's something I've never knew, and I think it's so amazing that like this local performance that started by someone locally here in El Paso is still basically produced and choreographed by local residents here. Like you mentioned, Jim Morden, yourself writing music for the thing. That is so amazing.
Definitely. And I think people who, like people who live in El Paso, like understand, oh, there's a lot of great things we can do. We can go to the dinner theater. We can go to the symphony. There's some rock bands that have come out of El Paso that have been really big. And I just don't think that the average person realizes just how much super talent comes out of El Paso. And I work in the education aspect of it too. And it's great. You see these new kids every year. You see kids and you're like, man, that kid's going to go somewhere. And sometimes they stay in town, sometimes they leave town, but we have a lot of amazing performing arts talent here.
I mean, as far as you being music director for Viva El Paso, what would say would be your main role for Viva El Paso?
So, in previous years, I've directed the show, but I've mostly music directed for most of the shows I've been involved with. Music direction, and I work closely with the vocal director. You get the performers ready for the singing performances, work an ensemble. In our case, because it's original music, sometimes we say, you know what, let's put in some harmonies here. Let's have these people singing also. Let's have these people singing. And then I'm in charge of the band and the performances during the show. So Viva El Paso, for the first time, starting like 5, 7, 6 years ago, had a live band. So I lead the live band, and we play every performance with Viva.
Oh, that is so cool. I know it has been a while since I've been there, but I've always heard great things. I mean, it's just so great, and it's just even better for me knowing that like it's like there's so much local talent that goes into this local performances, and then I also just being in that setting at McKelligan Canyon. There's no other amphitheater like that anywhere.
No, it's beautiful out there. You know, this whole climate change thing is actually, it's meant there's been more rain in the mountains. So every year for the last few years, it has been really green and lush. It's usually 10 to 15 degrees cooler up there at night. So, you know, I know the city is sweltering right now, but if you go to the show, you're going to be able to cool down, enjoy the mountain breezes, and get a great show. So.
Oh, that's cool. And then let's talk a little bit about like some of the dates and performances. You know, when does Viva El Paso usually start? I know it starts at a certain time of the season in El Paso. Talk a little bit about that and some of the dates if you can.
Okay, so normally we run all of July and part of August, or we start late June, depending on how the weekends line up. We're starting this year on June 30th, and then July 1st, the Saturday. So we do Friday, Saturdays every week. And this year it'll be 6 weeks until August 4th and August 5th. Shows are always at 8 o'clock. We recommend people get out there 6:37. You can enjoy the patio area, have some snacks, have some food, drinks, talk with some of the performers who might be wandering around, and then sit down and enjoy the show.
Oh, that's awesome. And then you guys, and then of course it's a excuse me, it's a family event, correct? I mean, you bring your kids and just come out, enjoy the great show, correct?
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, the grown-up audiences that come, you know, you can hear how much they appreciate things by their applause or laughter at certain scenes. But what's always funny is when the kids come, they comment on the show. Like you hear them really loud and clear. The Cowboys are having a gunfight. It's like, oh, he got shot. Oh no. Right. And we do a deer dance scene which is a great dance. Classic Native American dance about the deer being hunted by the Native Americans. And not to give it away, but the deer usually loses to the Native Americans. And you always hear the kids, oh no, why did they shoot him? Oh, no. So it's great. The kids have a great time, they get to see things that they normally don't get to see. And the adults have a great time because again, the dancing, the singing, the performances are it's great.
That's so that's so awesome. I mean that's something that I think everyone can get out and enjoy over the summer nights. And like you said, up in McKelligan Canyon, it is a lot cooler. It's not so hot when, especially around the time you guys around curtain call and everything like that. It's just so amazing that that this is such a long time running tradition here in El Paso.
Definitely. And great people involved. You know, the thing with Viva, this is our 45th year, with other than the pandemic and a couple of other random years, it's been every single summer. The people who do Viva are, you know, they develop friendships and family connections. Our director this year, Jaime Carrasco, is a longtime Viva performer and choreographer. Several of our people have been involved with Viva for many years. This year, we've had a lot of volunteers and people come out who used to work with Hector, and they've come back to add input to the show because they wanted to come back to Viva. So it's been a great, rewarding experience.
Oh, that sounds so amazing. And like I said, it's just it's such a great tradition to have here in El Paso. And anyone interested, if people are interested in going, checking out the shows, getting some info, where can we point them to?
So tickets are always easy to find, but I have a huge, strong recommendation that if you're downtown and you happen to be by the Plaza box office, you can get tickets there ahead of time for no fees because the El Paso Live runs the facility. But if you don't buy your tickets downtown ahead of time, just the night you want to come to the show, come to the show. We have plenty of seats. It's a huge theater. If you buy them at the door, there's no fees. So, you know, Ticketmaster will unfortunately charge you quite a bit extra if you go through Ticketmaster. So we always recommend if you want to come to the show, just the night you want to come, just come, and we promise we'll get you in with great seats.
Awesome. And then you guys are also you guys put out updates and alerts all over through social media, correct?
Definitely. Facebook and Instagram. We have pretty large followings on both platforms. And we have a website too that people can always check the latest information.
Awesome. I'll make sure I include that in the description below. Mr. Ritchey, what else can you say about, you know, this long time running El Paso tradition here? The amount of work that everyone puts into it, because I know a lot of people have regular 9-to-5 jobs. I mean, talk a little bit about the sacrifice and the dedication you all have just to, this, just to keep this ongoing tradition going.
So definitely. So the process itself is very long. We have auditions in April. The dancers start working like the first week of May, and then we start adding music rehearsals and blocking and staging. The thing that, the Viva's, that we're really aiming for now in the future with Epic Arts, which is the organization that runs Viva, is we're definitely aimed at training new artists, which Viva has always been about that, but now we've like really made that a focus. So anything that we get as far as financial help or donations or support or sponsorships, we can bring in more people to the show and also try and incorporate more events throughout the year when Viva's not running, but it's the Viva performers, and they can go to schools, they can go do public performances. We help out other nonprofits. We do performances for zoo galas and other events, or help the Children's Hospital. So we're really, we want to be a part of what makes this city great. And it's we love the people coming out to see our show, but we love to go out there and see people and perform for people and let people know, what great talent is in El Paso and what young artists can do.
Oh, I appreciate everything you guys do, and I mean, the performances are amazing. If you haven't been to, if someone watching now hasn't been to a show, you need to go check it out. If anything, just to go watch the show, witness the history, not only the history of El Paso, but also the hard work that all these from the cast, the crew, what they do out there. You'll have a great time.
Definitely. It's people of our audiences the last few years, they leave there with huge smiles. They're so happy. I've noticed that a lot of people, because we have Fort Bliss here and we have a lot of newcomers, that sometimes they don't know about Viva El Paso. So I'm glad people like you are getting the word out there, because people don't even know that we have a beautiful mountain, McKelligan Canyon, out there. So
yeah, people think it's just a construction rock quarry up there.
Right.
Oh, well, Mr. Ritchey, I appreciate you coming on the show, talking a little about the longtime history and tradition that is Viva El Paso. Is there anything else you'd like to say or add before we end today?
No, all I can do is stress what I already said. Is just, you want to come to the show, just come out on a Friday or Saturday night. We'll get you in. No fees on the tickets. We lowered prices this year, so they're only $20 for adults, 15 for kids or military or groups. So it's a great deal. You can't get a cheaper theater ticket anywhere around, and for 2.5 hours of great entertainment.
Awesome. I'll make sure I put all the information for you guys in the description below. And Viva El Paso. We'll catch a show this summer.
All right. Great.
All right. Nice, Ritchey. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.